Mark, I know it's been a quarter of the season, but when you hear that your team has more steals than turnovers, which hasn't been done to this point by any team in history, what do you think?
It's a good way to win the possession battle. You know, we have done a nice job at taking care of the ball. I think a lot of that is our main creators do a great job of that. And then defensively, we've been very disruptive. It's not an end game, either stat. It's more of it's downstream of the process, but it really helps you win when you get more shots than your opponent, and one way to do that is the turnover battle. The other way to do it is the rebounding battle, which has also improved over the last 11 games. So things are looking up there as well.
Excited to see what the matchup against Dallas looks like with Hartenstein and Caruso, guys you haven't had a chance to employ against them.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'd like to be as close to 100% as we can be. Obviously, they're both very impactful players, so getting them back has given us a nice jolt. Obviously, Hartenstein getting back with Chet's injury, has been huge to just absorb that amount of minutes with a front court player. And then Alex, impacts everything he touches. And I thought he had a really good week in terms of just getting back and then being impactful in both of those games.
Do you treat it as 1 of 82, or does this have a little bit more meaning to it with something on the line here?
1 of 82, closer to 1 of 82, but we like playing in like these elevated regular season games. They don't have to be cup games to be that, against really good opponent where both teams are kind of throwing their best punch. We learn a lot from those games. I thought that's one of the reasons why we improved last season through the years. We played in a lot of those games, and in some of them we won and we gained confidence from those, and in others we fell short, and you can gain some wisdom from those. And so we love big challenges, and tomorrow's a big challenge.
I won't ask you about Jay Will's status, but is it possible he will, travel this week with you guys?
I mean, we got to see what happens in terms of tomorrow. We might not even travel if we lost tomorrow, and I think it's Houston lost, then we don't travel. So we'll take it a game at a time.
What have you seen from Dylan Jones over these last couple of G League games?
Pretty good. I mean, I like how I didn't watch yesterday's yet. Full disclosure, I watched live the other night. Not live in person, but I watched it on YouTube, and I like how he approaches the games. I think he does a really nice job. It's always interesting to see how guys go there and how much they try to insert themselves. And I think he's been very appropriate in he's not hiding or blending in, but at the same time, he's not forcing. He's just letting the game come to him, and is taking a very mature approach to the assignment. And so that's good to see. And he needs the reps. He's improving in his system skills on both ends. That's why he's there. He's getting more minutes there, more opportunity, and he's doing a nice job with it.
What are some of the positives and kind of negatives of having a week like this where you're not quite sure what's going to happen the rest of the way in terms of your schedule?
It just kind of is it's the nature of the thing. So we're at no disadvantage relative to the other teams that are in this. We'd rather be playing against good opponents right now, and again, testing ourselves in those types of games. And so we're going to get that opportunity this week.
When you add offensive weapons year to year, like Chet entering the lineup and J-Dub emergence and Hartenstein this year, I assume coaches are like fans. You think, hey, look at all the things we can do and figure out a way to use them.
Yeah.
Is it the same way when you collect a bunch of defensive stalwarts, guys that can really play? I like when Cason's emergence, Caruso's addition to go with Dort and everything else you got. Does that just get a coach's mind racing on what can we do with guys like this?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think you're always trying to bend what you're doing to the strengths and vulnerabilities of your personnel. So sometimes defensively, you've got to bend to the vulnerabilities of somebody that might bring an offensive punch to your team. And certainly you want to bend to the strengths. And I think we've tried to do that. I think the amount we've pressured this year is more than we've ever pressured, like up the floor, picking up the ball higher. I think that's, you're kind of like making the floor bigger for the opponent, to access that pressure, which puts you in longer closeouts and potentially puts guys more on an island, but you can bet on that a little more when you've got kind of the individual defenders that we have. I also think that's been one part of the small lineup that's been kind of overlooked, is like the impact of a compounding effect of that many point of attack defensive guards is what allows you to play super small at the 5. You know, it's not only Dub's versatility, which is, you know, speaks for itself and is well documented, like he deserves a lot of credit for that, but if you've got him at the 5 with his versatility, but you don't have guys that can handle individual matchups around that, it'd be very difficult for us to keep the scoreboard moving the way that we were able to do in those minutes so far this season. So I think that credit goes to the defensive talent on the roster as well.
I know Shea is in charge of his development. You say that all the time, but I guess I don't know how much you guys have talked about this, but is there a vision you have for him as the type of playmaker he should or needs to be for this team?
Yeah, I mean, he for sure. He's got the ball more than anybody. He's creating more than anybody. His usage is higher than anybody, and with that comes a lot of responsibility for him or any player that's taking that many possessions. So there's a responsibility in that, but the thing that gives me confidence and us confidence with him is like you're handing the keys over to somebody that cares deeply about how they're driving the car, so it makes it a lot easier to stomach that amount of responsibility on a player like him or Dub that take on a lot of responsibility obviously for our team when they care as much as we do about the way the team plays because of that, and no one's more self-reflective than he is. No one wants to improve more when they fall short than he does, and that's why I give him the amount of space that I've described in the past.
So I guess not to get too granular, but like what does that look like? The kind of playmaker he needs to be for that team or for this team.
A lot of it gets based on how he's getting guarded. He's obviously one of the most respected offensive players in the league, and as a result of that, different teams do different things, and it's more about him learning what those things are and the best way to attack those, and a lot of those become team things. I thought New Orleans started trapping in the second half of that game the other night. I didn't think we handled it great, but that was a 5-man responsibility. That didn't all just fall on one person, and so some of that's the team understanding how we need to attack different things, even if the schemes are designed to take him away, like New Orleans is double teaming him because he is who he is. But that's a 5-man responsibility. That's everybody. We all have to do a good job of attacking that, or else we're not going to be able to attack it effectively.
Anybody else?
All right.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Joel.
I wonder, like, are you much of a Vegas guy? Do you like the fact that this thing is in Vegas?
I mean, first of all, we're not in Vegas yet. We haven't qualified for Vegas. And no, I'm not a Vegas guy. Of course not.